Let's talk about goals. Because without goals, we don't know where we're going. We need some sort of a roadmap. Now, setting big goals is exciting, right? But it's also scary. The larger the change we want to make, the more scared we become. And that's actually part of our brain. There's a region of our brain called the amygdala, which actually handles our emotions and detects fear. And it's what triggers our fight or flight response. When we suddenly feel something strong emotionally, such as being scared or being uncertain, the amygdala responds by immediately trying to seeking out comfort and finding something that can help us avoid this feeling, which actually hinders our learning. It's hard to concentrate and it destroys our long-term goals. Now, to overcome this idea of how do we accomplish our goals? How do we get to where we want to be, which seems so far away? Robert Mueller in the book Kaizen offers us a solution. Kaizen is a Japanese word for continuous small incremental improvements. The idea is to take small steps towards a goal. And this way, we avoid triggering the amygdala's fear detection system so that the entire time we're not going to give up on our goal. We're not going to feel like we're never going to get there. And this way, by taking these small steps, we eliminate the fear of failure. And we remove that desire to stop towards our goal. The smaller the steps we take, the easier it becomes for us to create those neural networks in our brain and create positive habits. Now, this idea of small incremental steps are actually mentioned in quite a lot of books. One of the books that we'll talk about is Atomic Habits by James Clear, of making those small little habits to improve and go towards our goal. It's not a new idea, but it does consider one of the principles we learned, right? This idea of compound learning. It's all about making those small goals, small little steps each day that over long term is going to compound. It might be hard for us to see how we're ever going to achieve mastery, but we can accomplish a lot over 10 years, over 20 years. The idea is to not make the goal too big. The idea of small targets that you can hit consistently is what we want to do. And when we talk about habits later on in the course, this idea of just creating a small habit, of doing something just for 2 minutes, and setting a goal like if you want to go for a run, to say, I'm going to run 5 times a week for 2 minutes. By making a goal so simple and so easy, anybody can run for 2 minutes, right? By just forming those habits, by having those clear goals, we're more likely to accomplish something in the long term. Now, we've all heard about this idea of SMART goals. If you haven't, well, a simple Google image will show you all these diagrams of what SMART goals are. It's this idea that our goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Now, we're going to do an exercise where we learn what these goals are, how to actually create good goals so that we have a clear roadmap to success. But the one takeaway from this video is that goals don't have to be big. As a matter of fact, all we need are well-defined, specific goals to succeed. For example, Anders Ericsson, which we're going to do an exercise on in the next lecture, had a test subject called Steve Falloon. And by the end of the study, Steve Falloon was able to recite 82 digits by memory. And how was he able to remember 82 digits? Well, because on the first day, he could only do 4. Each day, he tried to improve his memory by increasing to 1 digit. When he could remember 27 digits, well, now his next goal was to remember 28 digits. Each day, all he had to do was improve by 1. And if he didn't, the next day, he had the same goal. Now let's explore this idea of goals and how to create efficient goals that take advantage of how our brain works.